Hello everybody, my name is Garen. Thank you for tuning in to the Black Zombie YouTube channel where we talk about everything disc golf and more. Tonight I'll be your host. I want to talk about discs and their stability and what that means. Let's give a simple breakdown of what stability on a disc means. When someone says a stable disc, that simply means it follows the normal flight characteristics on a normal shot. So if you have a disc that is said to be stable and your right hand backhand like me, I'm going to throw a right hand backhand shot, let's just say a flat shot, it tends to want to just turn left. That's the stable position where you throw the disc, it goes straight for a little bit and it turns left. If you're left-handed, it does the same thing, except you're throwing, the spin is counterclockwise, so when you throw a left-handed shot, it goes straight for a little bit and it turns right. When someone says a disc is stable, it tends to do that normal pattern. Backhand, right hand turns left. When you do a left-hand shot, it's going to turn right. When you have a disc that's overstable, it wants to turn faster into that stable position. That's why when you have overstable discs, it's going to like cut off short. It's good for knowing you're going to like turn left and not get squirrely and go right. When you have an understable disc, it has that spin, and the understability of the disc makes it go straighter, longer, and sometimes even turn right. So when I'm throwing a right hand backhand shot, flat shot, and I have an understable disc, it'll fly longer, straighter, and sometimes even turn right, and sometimes if it's very understable, it'll turn more right because it's going opposite direction of the stable position. So just a recap on that real quick. So a stable disc follows natural flight path, which a stable disc, right hand backhand, flat shot, is going to end up turning left at some point in the flight. If it's more overstable, it turns in faster left. If it's less stable, it goes longer. If it's very understable, it'll end up turning right at the end. The neat thing about discs and their stability that you have to keep in mind is the wind. So wind will stabilize or destabilize the disc depending on which direction it's coming. We'll talk about that more in details in more videos, but let me just give you kind of an understanding of wind. So you'll usually have a headwind, a tailwind, a left to right, or a right to left. So just in general, if you have a tailwind, that increases the stability. It makes your disc more overstable, so that flight we're talking about, how if you throw a flat shot, a right hand backhand shot, that tailwind is going to make it more stable, so it's going to turn in left faster. So it's going to be more stable. If you're throwing into a headwind, the headwind destabilizes the disc. So in other words, that shot you're throwing that's usually stable that turns left, that headwind destabilizes it and actually turns it the opposite direction. So a stronger headwind makes that understable disc really want to flip over, go right. So a lot of times you'll see people when they get to like a 15, 20 mile an hour headwind, they're like, oh man, I got to throw a more overstable disc to handle this headwind, because they know when they throw that disc, if it's a normal stable disc in a calm day, it's not going to handle that headwind. So you have your headwind disc and then your tailwind disc. If you have a right to left, that can stabilize the disc. So if you're throwing a flat shot, it's a little different than throwing a hyzer or anhyzer, but let's just talk about a hyzer shot. So if you throw a hyzer shot and you have a right to left wind, that really stabilizes the disc, because that disc can't come up flat. Even if you throw an understable disc and you have a right to left, if that nose or lip doesn't get down, then that wind just pushes it this way, so it stays in that stable position. If you have a left to right and you're throwing a hyzer shot, it can also stabilize in the sense it's pushing this plate down, never comes back up. But if you throw it with an anhyzer, or maybe it flips up a little bit and the wind kind of comes underneath, that left to right wind will destabilize your disc. So it gets a little bit tricky out there depending on how you release the disc, if the nose is up or like wings are up, or if it's a hyzer or anhyzer position. But if you have a headwind, it's going to destabilize, make it go the opposite direction it wants to fly. If you have a tailwind, it's going to go more so the direction it wants to fly. So if I have this disc and I'm throwing it flat and I want it to turn, or it's going to turn left, if I have a tailwind, it's going to turn left faster. So I probably want to either throw it harder, throw a less stable disc, maybe throw it a little bit on the ante so it kind of flies a little bit further. If you have a headwind, oftentimes you'll get a more stable disc, or you'll throw a little bit on a hyzer shot so it can have that extra like pop into the wind and pop up, because it's like the wind is destabilizing, but that understable flip to flat and even anhyzer will kind of like give it a little bit more power going through the wind, and then as it slows down and the wind's still coming, it's going to turn left. that's kind of basically what it is as far as your stable disc. The stable disc, one more time, when you throw a right hand backhand and you throw it flat, it's going to turn left at the end. If you're throwing from left side, since it's a counterclockwise turn, it's going to actually go from straight or left to right. It's going to fall right. So we'll talk about more in detail on that, but I want you to understand a stable disc and what that means. And tune in for more videos. Thanks for watching, and be sure to subscribe. Thanks, and have a good day.